Welcome back to my channel. It's May 1st, guys. I can't get over how fast the year has gone by. It's been such a crazy ride between starting out the year as usual and now into distance learning. I certainly never saw this coming at the beginning of the school year. Just knowing that there's some light at the end of the tunnel has been bringing me a little bit more comfort. Now, speaking of comfort, I think that now that we're in distance learning and our students are feeling a little bit more isolated, especially because they haven't seen their classmates in a long time. And if you're not on Google Meet daily with your students, chances are they're feeling isolated from you. Now, I meet with my students on Google Meet every day. And so we do have designated class periods. And I know that some people say you shouldn't do that, but I really feel that my students appreciate the structure. In fact, I have data that actually proves that fact. Now, I also try at this point to incorporate some sort of social emotional learning into my classes at least once or twice a week. We only have 30-minute periods, so I have to keep it short and sweet. So I thought the purpose of this video would be to share some really quick, easy social and emotional strategies that you can incorporate into your classes. If you're not meeting with your students every day, that's fine. You can still incorporate a lot of these things doing remote learning.
One of the easiest ways to incorporate some SEL right now would be probably to administer some sort of Google form or poll. So this is an example of a wellness check-in that I did with my students. It's a Google form, and what I do is I typed in a prompt, "Today I am feeling," and then I copied and pasted a bunch of different emojis. You can get that right online from the Emoji Encyclopedia. So when my students open the form, this is the first thing that they see. They can click how they're feeling. And then the next question actually asks them, I guess I did this right after our spring break, I asked them to describe their spring break in one word. And then what you can do is you can actually compile all those words and create a nice word cloud so everybody can see how their spring break went. Another great tech tool that your students are probably really used to working with by now is Flipgrid. Flipgrid allows your students to connect with each other because they can respond to each other's prompts and responses to your questions. So this was an example of an International SEL Day prompt that I wanted my students to answer. And I wanted them to focus on the experience of isolating at home. And I always try to model for my students what I expect for them when they're creating all their Flipgrids. So you can see I also created my own Flipgrid so that my students can see some expectations and ideas for things that they want to include in their responses. Nearpod is one of those tools that has made it so easy to administer different types of assessment questions and social emotional learning questions. So I really like the Nearpod because I can collect the data in real time. It allows me to get those poll results and comment on what I'm seeing and offer any guidance and suggestions as to what I'm reading. I really like to ask my students what they think and feel about the class and how it's going, if they like meeting during the Google Meet. That was the data that I was referring to earlier. Probably asked my students that about 3 times by now, and each time it's been really positive. I also asked my students how are they doing with the screencasting. I've been doing screencasting for quizzes, and then I also asked them about the workload. You know, I want to be the Goldilocks teacher and not assign too much or too little. The other thing that I like is Nearpod allows you to do different question types. So that was an example of drawing. This is also a poll. I asked my students, did they receive a little something from me because they were struggling with their screencasting because they did not have a stylus. So I actually got these styluses printed that have ChemBeast on them, and they were really surprised to get them in the mail. And then one other thing that I like to do is ask them a question like, what are they doing this weekend? So down in the box there, they can write down what they're going to do this weekend. You can preview the comments before they're posted and kind of monitor what the students are going to write.
I hope this video gave you some insight as far as how you can incorporate some social emotional learning strategies into your classes. As you saw, they're really simple ideas that can make a big impact. One other thing that you might want to consider doing is if you do see a student struggling, you might want to reach out to that student via email and just say, hey, how are you? Do you need anything? Is there anything that I can do to help? Offering to talk and letting the student know that you're there really can make a huge difference in how they're feeling and thinking. And it also, of course, maintains that connection between you and the student. Are there any other social emotional learning strategies that you're using in your classes? I'd love to know what they are. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. I hope you're out and about and enjoying the beautiful weather this weekend, and I will be sure to check in with you next week about the choice board.